What a day to go around. Head up in the clouds, thought you were better. Hey, hope everyone's having a good day. After my most recent cover of What a Day by Ben Howard, I got a couple requests to do a tutorial on my arrangement of this song, so I figured I would do that for you guys. Pretty simple. Now, I will mention, this song, you can't play it 100% the way it's played on the recording because there's a couple different layers of it going on. There's layered guitars and there's a bunch of different things going on. So I just tried to make an arrangement that would sort of fit, try to incorporate as many of the aspects of the recording as I could into a nice solo rendition of it. So that's what I've tried to do with this here. Thankfully, because of that, because you can't even play the song note for note the way that it's recorded, you kind of have a bit of like creative freedom with how you play this one, and you can throw in your own little embellishments and things like that. And I'll show you some variations on the basic theme that we have. So I'm going to start out telling you guys about the tuning. So this song is tuned to open D, which is D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. This is a tuning that you can use to play things like The Cave by Mumford & Sons or Regarding Stacks by Bon Iver. So there's a bunch of different songs in open D, so you might as well try it out. Very nice open sound. And we have a capo on the 5th fret covering the high 5 string, so the low string is left open. So with your capo on, what it should sound like when you play the open strings here is just this. That was a little sharp. There you go. All right, so let's get into to the verse. Thankfully, this song comprises of just the verse and the chorus. Aside from that, there's really nothing else you have to learn for my version of this song. We're going to start with our index finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. Now, keep in mind when I'm saying 1st fret, I'm talking about relative to the capo. And I'm going to be referring to the frets that way for every string except that low string. All right, so we have our index finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string, and you're going to take your ring finger and put it on the 2nd fret of that high string, the 1st string. So that's going to be the first shape that we're working with. And the pattern that we have here, what we're doing is I'm hitting that low string, so plucking that open low string, and then I'm plucking the 3rd and 4th strings together. So that's how we start, just. All right. From there, we pluck that low string again, so low string, 3rd and 4th, low string, and then I'm plucking the high string, so that string that we have fretted on the 2nd fret, I'm plucking that just by itself. So that's what that should sound like so far. And then what I'm doing is sort of a mix between like a strum and a slap, and Ben Howard uses this technique a ton. John Mayer sort of uses this technique as well. There's a bunch of different guitar players that use this technique, and it's a really useful technique. Sounds great. I'm kind of giving like this sort of slap with letting the strings ring out. So it's sort of this rotating motion. You'll probably notice in a lot of my videos, like my thumb is kind of doing this. It's because I'm slapping on that low string to get that fret sound, but I'm also giving a little strum just with my fingers, just to get it to ring out a little bit. So if you need to practice that, just sit here doing this. And you don't need it to sound the exact same every time. You'll notice sometimes I'm muting the strings and whatever, but it's just about kind of getting the feel of the rhythm into the song. So we're playing the low open string, 3rd and 4th, low string again, 1st string, and then a slap. So I'll play that together slowly. That's what we've got so far. And then when I'm coming back down from that slap, I'm grabbing the 2nd and 3rd string. So kind of like this motion of coming down and then coming back up and grabbing them on an upstroke. All right, so just if you need to, again, don't rush this kind of thing. Learning takes time, so just sit here. this, just loop that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pluck the low string again, and then I'm grabbing the 4th and 3rd string open again. And then doing a slap, so low open, 3 and 4, low string, 1st string, slap, grab the 2nd and 3rd on that upstroke, low string, 3rd and 4th. And then I'm doing another slap, so all together. And then I'm just going low string, 1st string, and back to that 3rd and 4th. And then ending with a slap. So that's all I'm doing there, and there aren't really too many variations that I do with that. There's one that I'll show you. I'm going to do a whole section for variations. So the timing of this can be a little off-putting because you're not really slapping on every beat. There are some times where you can kind of just get into that, but you're not quite doing that. You're kind of, yeah, it's a little off-putting, and it might take a little time to get used to the timing of that, but stick with it, you'll have it in no time. So let's move on to the 2nd chord that we're working with. All right, so let's move on to the 2nd shape that we've got here. We're leaving our index finger where it is on that 1st fret of the 3rd string, and then we're gonna put our ring finger onto the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, and put our middle finger onto the 2nd fret of the 5th string. My dog is trying to come in. All right, so the pattern for this shape is pretty similar to the other one. It's not the exact same, but it's the same idea. So we're plucking the low 5th string, and then I'm picking the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string at the same time. And then hitting the low string again. And then I'm taking my ring finger off so that that 2nd string is open, and I'm picking the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd again. All right, and then once I've done that, we're doing another one of those little slaps. So we have, right? So now I'm picking the low string again. You can see there's a lot of back and forth between low string and high strings here. So low string, grab that low again, and I'm actually hitting it twice. So instead of just the one hit, I'm hitting it 2 times. And then putting my my ring finger back onto the 2nd fret there. Going back to that 1st shape. And then another slap. Back to the low. And then I'm plucking the 4th, 2nd, and 3rd again, but I'm doing a pull off from 2nd to open on that 2nd string. And then a slap. So all together with the 1st and 2nd shape we have and it just repeats. Alright, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the variations that I'm playing during the verse of this, because you want to kind of keep it interesting. You don't want to just be playing the same pattern every time. So sometimes, instead of that, I'll do something. I'll do the 1st pattern, but then I'll just hit the low string, and I'll do a little roll. So, and then do the same way we ended it. Another one that I'll do is sometimes I'll hammer on and pull back off. Sometimes you'll notice I'm hitting the high string, and I'm actually hitting it with my pinky because I'm weird, and I sometimes use my pinky for picking. It's just because I've played piano longer than I've played guitar, so my pinky's used to being involved. It feels left out. So you can do that. So those are just a few different variations to this. And really you can throw in whatever you want, right? Because again, this isn't note for note. You can kind of make this your own, and there's a ton of creative liberty that you can have with it, which is great. It makes playing it a hell of a lot more fun. And I mean, I play it differently every single time I play the song. So there's only one variation that I play on the first shape, at least for now. We'll see if I can figure out anything else. When I'm closing off the loop, so instead of doing this, I'm doing this. So instead of going back up to that high string a second time, I come down to the 3rd and 4th with my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and I'm pulling off and then slapping. And then I'm moving on to that second shape. So all together in the verse, and I'll throw in some variations, and then I'll show you how the singing lines up with it, because that part can be a little tricky. You can see there, I'm even playing different variations. So again, make it your own. So now I'll sing along with it just to show you, and I'll do this slowly so you can kind of figure out where this all lines up. What a day to go around, heavy in the sound of breaking mirror. What a day to go around, head up in the clouds, thought you were better. What a way to come around. Well, I take you out, I take you walking, healing, mercy. There you go. Alright, so let's move on to the chorus. Now there are two ways that you can actually fret the chorus here. You don't have to do it the way that I did my cover with my hand over it like this. The reason that I'm actually doing that is because this is a parlor-sized guitar and it's fairly small. So some of these shapes, I really have to squeeze my hand on there, and I can't do it as cleanly as I can if I just lay here and bar, which is just a little easier for my hands. So I'll show you these shapes that we have. So I'll show you the way that I play it first, and then I'll show you maybe an easier way. This might be more comfortable for your hands. So I'm putting my pinky on the 4th fret of that low string. So that's actually behind the capo. And I have my index finger barring on the 3rd and 4th string on the 2nd fret. And that's what that should sound like. Not worrying about that 5th string. I'm actually muting that, generally speaking, says as he plays it. But yeah, that's how it should sound. And the pattern that I'm doing here, I'm basically just picking the low string, and then 3rd and 4th. I'm doing that twice, and then I'm just picking 6, 3, and then looping again. So in the next shape here, I'm putting my ring finger on the 6th fret of the low string, which is 1 fret above the capo. I'm putting my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and that's actually it. And then I'm just picking the same pattern, except instead of doing 6, 3, 4, I'm doing 6, 3, 5. So same pattern, just different string. You can use your middle finger for it as well. This really doesn't matter. And then for the last shape, I'm back to the same pattern of the low string plucking, and then 3, 4, except I'm barring on the 2nd fret entirely. So that's it. And there's one shape that I do right at the end when he says, "Where does all the time go?" where I'm just barring on the 3rd and 4th string on that 2nd fret, leaving that low string open. And then I do a little slap and head back into the verse. So I'll show you the other way you can play that, and then I'll show you me singing along with this so that I can kind of show you where everything lines up. So the other way you can play this is by putting your ring and pinky finger onto the 2nd fret of the 4th and 3rd string, and then stretch your index all the way over to that 4th fret on the low string. Now, it's a bit easier if the guitar is higher up, but since this is a parlor, it sits so far down on my lap, so I have to like do this if I want to do that, which isn't good for your back. And then you can kind of fret this with just your ring in your middle. And then you can put your pinky and ring back onto that 1st shape and put your middle onto the 7th fret down there. And then you can just lift it off. So that might be easier for you. It might be easier to do this. I think it'll depend on what kind of guitar you're playing, and I think it'll also just depend on the shape of your hand and what you're used to. That's how I play it. That's actually it. There's nothing else that I did with this arrangement of the song. I just fade out on that last shape. I mean, sometimes when I'm playing, I'll go back into the verse and play a few rounds of that. But that's about it. Sometimes I'll just like fade that out quietly, but yeah, that's actually how I play the whole arrangement. And before we leave, I'll show you how the singing lines up here. Shadow ring, course there's no hint where to put the right words. Hearing, where does all the time go? That's about it. All right. Well, I hope the tutorial was relatively easy to follow. I know I'm not always the absolute best at explaining things, so if you need anything clarified, please just ask me. I'm still getting used to teaching. It's something that I want to work on because, it's a good skill to have. I just haven't had a whole lot of reason to do it, so this is a good learning experience both for you and for me. So thank you all so much for watching, and thank you so much for the support on the cover so far. I put it up yesterday, I think, and it's doing very, very well, so thank you. Truly, you guys are the best, and yeah, hope to see you all next time. Have a good one.